Um, what I realized, this biblical question is people, what they do to others, they're doing it to themselves because it's really happening to them. It's not happening to anyone else but them. When you try to hurt others, when you judge others, when you betray others, you're really, really doing it to yourself because you're being portrayed by the darkness of imagination, which is of the devil, and it make you think that you're hurting someone else, and you're not. And the people who respond to betrayal or whatever, they'll only listen to their thoughts too, so they think they're being hurt, and they're not. They have identified with the wrong thought. And so the kingdom of heaven will come when you disappear. When you totally disappear, then the kingdom of heaven will come. It will be. But as long as you have this false identity of yourself, then you won't know the kingdom of heaven because you live in the darkness of evil in your imagination. And that's why God said, bring every thought into captivity. So when you're doing the silent prayer and you're watching, what you're going to watch, what you're going to know eventually if you stay with it, and you know that you know that you know that you know, is that you've always been living in your imagination, living hell, and being portrayed by the imagination. As imagination gives you a false image of yourself. And so when someone comes along and try to hurt you, they're really messing with this illusion of an image that you have for yourself. And so when you see that, you should welcome that. Because if you get a feeling from it where you feel bad or you feel good or you feel bad about this image being destroyed, then you're not in the kingdom. And so I want to encourage you to welcome betrayal. You should beg people to betray you so that you can see what's in you. Because if you were truly living in the kingdom of heaven, you cannot be betrayed. You won't feel anything about it. And you will not betray others because the real betrayal is coming from the thoughts. It's coming from the imagination. And when you're dying from the ego, when you allow the ego to be destroyed, all thoughts are all lies all the time, everything that you've ever thought, everything that you've ever been taught will be taken away from you because it's all lies all the time. And God said that in order to live, we must die, meaning spiritually die, meaning that the ego must die. And so whatever happens in life, welcome it. Be glad that it's happening. And if you're trying to run away from it, it's only because you have the raw illusion of yourself. You're running with the devil thinking you're running away from yourself, and you're not. And when that ego is dying, you are disappearing. They're not you. It's disappearing and nothing left but the kingdom of heaven. You were not even thinking about it. You will live in the kingdom without any thoughts or any feelings or any of that stuff. It wouldn't even be a part of your thinking anymore. You would be in the world and not ever. All this mess that's going on in the world right now, without even thinking about it, you would see the people tripping and marching and rallying and tearing down structures and hating one another. But it wouldn't bother you. You wouldn't even think about it. And so you wouldn't think that, hey, I'm not being bothered by that. Because all thoughts are all lies all the time. You just wouldn't be bothered with it. You wouldn't be bothered by it. So we can live in this world no matter what's happening outside of us. Because it's really not happening outside, like in the world, it's happening inside of other people. That's their misery. I was thinking the other day about the civil rights movement, all these different movements that are happening now. The women's movement, the civil rights movement, the LGBTQ movement, all the abortion movement, all these movements are just put on by people who are using the poor to make money. And then the poor call them their heroes. And they make statues of the people that is really using them that they hate, but they don't realize it. So all these social movements and things like that, and it's really not for you. It's for the people who make you think that that's what you need because they get rich off them and you never get better in life at all. Have y'all noticed that? They have all kind of social movements, but nobody get better, but others get wealthy. They get rich. They have a little fake name for themselves, but they don't get. But but the people, they tear down the country. They kill babies. They identify with movements. They feel good by being out there screaming and yelling and carrying on. While the people up here who encouraging you, they're getting wealth. They put titles on themselves. They call themselves the civil rights movement, the abortion movement, the head of the abortion movement, the head of whatever movement it is, and you're just being used, but they get wealthy off you. And that's why people who participate in the rallies and things, if you really, really pay attention to it, you don't get better. You just go from one movement to another one. And the people who are pushing the movement, they get wealthy. Look at our country today. The people who are pushing the race issue, dividing the people who are pushing whatever movement, they're wealthy, but you're poor arguing with one another, and they're getting wealthy from you. So you got to, I urge you with the coming year to work on you. Keep your eyes on you and no one else. You're going to be surprised what you discover. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's right here, but you can't see it if you have an ego at all. You don't see the kingdom. But when the fate you is dying, all your little illusions about yourself running away from things, when that die, you shall see the kingdom. It is ahead, but you don't see it when you have anger. You don't see it when you run away from life. Let life happen. Someone called my show and said that buffaloes run into the storm and not away from it. That's what we have to do if we want to overcome this illusion that we've been living. We got to run to the situations and not away from them. Those situations in our hearts and in our minds and those feelings and those emotions, don't run away from them. Welcome them and run right into them. Whatever you feel afraid of, go to it and face it. Whatever, just face it. That makes sense? Then you shall see the kingdom. But until that happens, you won't see the kingdom. You won't see it intellectually. You cannot see the kingdom. Intellectually, you may have all the words, but you don't truly see the kingdom. Knowledge will disappear. Knowledge is good on its own for building houses, driving a car, buying groceries, but you shouldn't hang on to it because it creates a falsehood. Look at the Christians. They know the Bible. They can quote the word up and down. They can argue with you about the Bible, but inwardly they don't know the kingdom. They don't even know the kingdom is at hand. They don't know it exists, but intellectually they have the word. You can learn the words from me or anyone else and just quote them. But if you've not overcome that illusion of yourself, you will not know the kingdom. It is ahead, but you can't even imagine what it's like. So I want to encourage you to continue this year to work on you. And we're going to be giving you some ideas of what to do in order to work on you. But when you think you're hurting others, you're really hurting yourself because you're worshiping and fellowshipping with the devil, thinking that they're your thoughts and your feelings, and you feel good about hurting others, and you feel, but you don't. Because when you're alone, you still feel the pain of being wrong. You feel fear. You feel doubt. You feel loneliness. You feel worry. You feel anxiety. So you got to truly, truly be careful not to hold on to anything intellectually. Any question about that? The kingdom of his hand when you disappear. But you got to totally disappear. And in disappearing, you can't have any ideas about what disappearing means. Any idea. Even when I said what it is, you still have to let go of all ideas about that because Satan will use ideas against you. What do you think about that, Hassan? When you disappear, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree.
And why do you agree to that?
Yeah, we just have to cease to exist, really.
Yeah. There can be no you at all. And so when you have feelings about something good or bad, when you worry about something good or bad, when you judge yourself, then you don't know the kingdom. You don't see, you're not in the kingdom. But just stay on that path, though. Feel the pain, go to it. And another thing I want to encourage you to do, too, is cause pain for yourself. Meaning, when you get home sometime, sit in a quiet room without a TV or without a cell phone or without anything. Sit there when you wake up in the morning and you're coming out of your father's state, your dreams you've had, and Satan is working your mind because he was talking to you in your sleep. Take a moment and just sit there quietly and feel the pain, feel the thoughts, feel the fear, and just watch them. And you will, and I'm a witness to it. I wouldn't notice if I wouldn't know how to tell you if it wasn't happening. And the kingdom is almost unexplainable. I don't know how you explain the kingdom. But as Christ said, it's a mustard seed. It's like a little mustard seed. And if I may be wrong about this, but when you first plant seeds into the ground, this at least some sorts of seed, they die. And then once they die, they come alive. Am I right about that? Yeah, they die, and then once they die, they come alive, and then the fruit come from the tree. And that's what has to happen to us. We must die in order to come alive, and then the fruits will come. The fruits will follow. But you must die spiritually. I was thinking about the number of people who commit suicide. You know you got to be out of your mind to commit suicide. You are not convincing yourself to commit suicide. The devil is convincing you that. You're not convincing yourself to run away from rumors or betrayal. That's the devil convincing you. You're not convincing yourself to not be still and know. That's the devil convincing you. But you think that is you because you've identified with the devil. We are a spirit living in a body. We are not the body. The body is just the church, the house that we live in. But we are not the body. So you got to stop identifying with the body. You got to go through the pain. Go through the storm. And don't be mad at people when they try to bring a storm upon you. What they're doing to you is happening to them. That's why it's like, I talked about this a lot, when you go to your mother and forgive her, and when she dies, she build an army against you because she's unwilling to look at the not her. And your enemies, that's what they do. They build an army against you because they cannot look at themselves. They need to be approved. Somebody to go along with to make them think that they're right and that they're good at what they're doing. But the kingdom of heaven will come when you disappear. All right? Any comment about that? What do you think about that?
No, I can understand what you're saying. I think that's why I responded to I'd rather be nobody than stress.
Yes.
Right? So, or to go back to one of the biblical questions of that Troy passed on to me a couple of weeks ago is, when do you feel the strongest? And innately, I responded to him when I'm at peace. So yeah, I understand where's that.
And so let this not you die. Just let life happen. Go out into the world. You know, when I say go into the world, go about your day, go about your life. And whatever happens in life, you watch your response, your reaction to it. And whatever it is, if you feel good about it or if you feel bad about it, both are egos. And just let them pass, and it is dying. The not you is disappearing. And don't let the devil talk you out of doing the silent prayer. He'll rather that you hoop and holler. He'll be okay with you praying for mama, praying for things, praying for people, than for you to sit still and let go. As Rochelle was saying, let go. He does not want you to let go. And being still is the highest form of prayer because you let go, you realize you can't change yourself. You can't change others. You can't make life happen. You just have to be and let life happen. Be a living being. But you got to work on yourself, though. You really got to work on yourself. And the Christians have you thinking that all you have to do is go down to the front of the church and accept Jesus, and that's it. That's not it. That is not it. That's why people go down to the front of the church. I believe Jesus died and rose, and now I'm saved. They're lying. They've been lied to, and they're lying. They have to work on themselves. Faith without work is dead. You got to watch these things that I'm telling you about that we've been talking about all year. You got to watch yourself, and then you will die from the world. There's no reason, in all honesty, I've been saying that my country is not coming back. That's fine with me. There's no reason to be afraid at all as to what's happening in the world around you, because it's not happening in your world. It's happening in their world. When you hear the talk about wars and Putin going to shoot up somebody, and it's happening in their world within them. It's not happening in your world if you don't identify with the world anymore, if you've overcome the world. God is with us, and he loves us, and he will protect us. And it will be without thought. Without thought. So all identities and things like that must die. And it will if you keep your eye on yourself. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Amazing.